Alright, since I made the Resident Evil 7 video, I wanted to pretty much do like I did with my Final Fantasy video, make my favorites list. Oh, like that one. It's a general list, not really specifically, because it is a very hard list. I've done this list not many times, on Facebook and other things where I actually wrote it down because it is a very, very tough list. My choices have gone up and down. Uh, but the thing is, unlike Final Fantasy, my favorite is not as easy to pick because even though it is pretty much my favorite, the first one I played, it's kind of short, and and a lot of people know how I feel about short games. If it's not that long, it can't really be that great to me. It has to be full of content, or it has to be the greatest, few hours ever. And you can beat this game in a few hours, and that's the sad thing. And that's Resident Evil 3. I love Resident Evil 3, but it is extremely short. Um, and I it was more of a nostalgia with I never really understood it because they're all short technically. All the Resident Evils are short, but 3 and Survivor and maybe a few others that I haven't replayed all of them, but they're all pretty damn short. But I still love 3 just because of the action, the Nemesis, and just pretty much everything about the game. Resident Evil 3 uh, was the first, even though let me try to get this straight. A friend of mine when I was a kid, he would come over and he would be like, "Yeah, there's this cool game," and he pretty much got me into Resident Evil. I was too scared to play it. I was 11, he was 13, um, and so I was like terrified to play it by myself. But I would love to watch him because he was the type of person that would always, you would always watch him play the game. So, um, I don't know, and I don't know. It was interesting because he would be, always having these theories in his head, or he would hear rumors, and he was pretty much the guy that got you excited about video games, pretty much, and got you into new stuff. And he was the adventurous type, so when he moved away, it really sucked for a lot of us because that was the adventurous friends for all us nerds. I guess I had to take over, and I'm not really the adventurous type. But anyway, moving on. I'm not going to try to get too much into that. But basically, long story short, he got me into pretty much the series, and I thank him very much. We're not friends anymore because we haven't spoken in years. But you know, ever since then, I've gotten pretty much all the games. I've played every single one except for Gaiden, and I played them in order from I think it was 3, 1, 2, Survivor, 0, remake, 4, something like that. So yeah, but anyway, 0 is my other favorite for the longest time. Anyways, it's kind of hard to put on the list. I love the game to death. I love the characters. I love the atmosphere. I love the setting. Everything about it I love. So it don't really matter where it is on this list. It's up there. Now here's the one I wanted to talk about the most is Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 and 4, I should say, but we'll talk about 2 first. Is known as the best Resident Evil. That and 4. Well, oddly enough, both of them are Leon based. Oddly enough, the best campaign in 6 is Leon's. What is the deal with Resident Evil and Leon? I don't know. But yeah, so I love Resident Evil 2. Don't get me wrong. It's just to me a little overrated. Don't It's still a 10 out of 10. Like I said, like with Final Fantasy 6, I find it overrated, yet it's still great. It's not that it's not great. It's just I just don't see how it's so great to where it's so much better than the other games. It's longer, so I give it the edge over 3 for the length and the way it works. The 2 discs, the 2 characters. You pretty much can get like 4 different little things in each story, depending on who you play first. Um, or at least 2 different little tweaks to the game if you play like Claire first or Leon first. little stuff changes, not too much, but your path, I guess. Uh, and I've always played Leon first. I really should play Claire first. It has been. I only did that like once that I can remember. So, and it does seem like it was a little bit different. Um. So, anyways, yeah, Resident Evil 2 doesn't really have any puzzles. That's kind of the biggest gripe for me. It's a little on the easy side. I don't know. It's kind of like bare bones, but it's good. It's very good. Not the greatest virus to me. I don't really care for the G virus as much as the T virus. The monsters in that one is just kind of. I don't like the liquor as much as the hunter, and I don't like. I don't know. It's just in G type. As I've always called him G type because that's what my friend who got me into the series called him. I don't really know if he's ever been called that. I think he's Type G monster, but he's William Birkin basically. A lot of people call him William Birkin, but I've always called him G type, and just because like I said, my friend called him that. I don't know if that got him, if that name came from anywhere or not. I know it's like Type G in the thing when they kind of mysteriously talking about him in the files. But anyway, so yeah, Resident Evil 2, like I said, is great, but it's just not. It's kind of on the bottom. It's the bottom of the best of the old school games. Even 4, it's below 4. I would rate 4 above 2, and then I'd rate 0 right on with 4. And Resident Evil Remake, which is obviously better than Resident Evil the original. Uh, yeah, we're not even good. The original doesn't even exist anymore. Let's not even say it's the remake. I don't even consider it the remake. I just consider it Resident Evil 1. The original is beta version. That's case closed. But yeah, Resident Evil Remake. I've never really put it that high on my list. I've never really put it as my top, and I would, I never thought to put it above Resident Evil 0. But I gotta be real. Um, I don't know. I love it. It don't really matter. Resident Evil 0, 1, and 3 is my top 3, so it don't really matter which one you put as the best. They all have great features about them. They all have, different aspects I love more than others. It's, I guess 1 overall is probably the best overall Resident Evil. Just because it's pretty decent length, good setting, good puzzles, good atmosphere, good action, just a good everything, and Code Veronica, I haven't mentioned Code Veronica. That was one of my most beloved because it brought back the puzzles. It brought back the difficult puzzles, and and I love the atmosphere of the game. It's more of a gothic atmosphere. Um, and I love the story. It has probably the best story. Let me think about it. Let me think of the actual story. Um, yeah, I would say Resident Evil Code Veronica has the best actual story of the franchise. Of this, and definitely probably the hardest. The hardest Resident Evil, hands down, in my opinion. Anyway, I don't know if anybody feels differently, but Code Veronica is easily the hardest I can think of. Um, but on the bottom end, before I go to that, I'm gonna say Code Veronica is. I like it. I'm gonna rate it right above 2. I like it more than 2. I don't like it more than 0, but I haven't played 0 in a long time. I'm about to buy it. Make sure the money gets to the bank first before I buy it. But I want to, I'm just gonna buy the HD versions on PS4, because it's on sale for $13.99, which I think it's normally 20, so that's a pretty good deal. So I'm gonna buy that if I remember, unless I, forget. I hope I don't, but it's the E3 sale, so yay. Um. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I want to talk about the bad Resident Evils, the less loved. I don't know. Resident Evil Survivor. Now, here's something I want to talk about because it is controversial or it's considered the worst. I actually liked it. I don't know how it holds up today, or how much I actually would have liked it if I had a different mindset, like probably most people. But I actually enjoyed it very much. I remember renting it from the video game store. It was one of the non commercial mainstream stores. It was like a local, I forgot what it was called, Four Quarter store or something like that. Um, It was something downtown, But I rented it, and then my friend who got me into Resident Evil was like, "No, this is not one of the good ones," and I was like, "Oh man!" And then, but I ended up playing it, and I enjoyed it pretty much. I mean, it was first person, didn't even show the gun. And back then, I did not like first person shooters, but I was just so into Resident Evil lore. I was so into the monsters, I didn't care. I was just into the, the trying to get as much information about the monsters as possible because I was so fascinated by how they, were created and the different versions. Like, I was just so fascinated when I would look in like little strategy guides. I would never buy strategy guides because they're stupid in my opinion. But if I ever went to a store like GameStop or Walmart, and I would look in the strategy guides and I would see, the different monsters and like Resident Evil Zero and stuff like that, and I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. An Outbreak. And you see like all the different tyrants. So, I've always been fascinated by all the different tyrants. There's Mr. X, who's in Resident Evil 2, and I never really considered him a tyrant until I knew he was one. I would go on the website ResidentEvil.com or whatever it was called, and it would have the the monsterology, the bestiology, or whatever it was called, bestiary, whatever. And they just have this little description and how they were, what game they were in, and what virus they were, and I would just be fascinated as hell with that. And, it's just it's always been interesting to me. Uh, and the liquors, the hunters, all that. I really wish they would kind of be more creative, but because I'm not really into the Resident Evil 4 style monsters. I don't really care for those monsters. I'm not interested in Sadler as a boss or a villain. I don't even care about him. That's you know there's a few others. That tall bearded guy, he was pretty cool. I don't care about the giant crocodile monster thing. There's just a lot of stuff that I would say El Gigante, or I think that was his name. Whatever, the giant, he was pretty cool. But other, not many in Resident Evil 4 was really interesting to me. I thought it was cool that how in 5 they brought back the liquors. I liked how the better graphic versions. And yeah, my favorite incarnation of the tyrant is Thanatos R from Resident Evil Outbreak. He has the giant arm. He's very fast. He runs. He sprints the entire time. He doesn't, just like sprint for a short time like the original tyrant. But he jumps and he's pretty much tyrant on high. Can't think of the word for some reason. Uh, Steroids. There we go. For some reason, I thought it would start with H. I couldn't think. That's probably what it was. I was trying to think of the H word. Yeah, steroids. It's like a tyrant on steroids. He's fueled up and he's pretty much a mutant version of a mutant. So yeah, I love that version. He's my favorite. I really like Outbreak also. That's on the bottom end, but it's above Survivor and stuff like that. But the worst Resident Evil, I have not beaten it, so I can't really say 100% because it's so bad. I actually tried to sell it, but they didn't take it because it was flawed in some way. I don't know why. I've never really had that problem at GameStop. But Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, that's probably the worst. It just does not feel good at all. It just don't the weapons, the AI. I don't really have the same exact complaints as everybody else. It's just it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel at all appealing to me. It does, it doesn't feel badass. It doesn't feel tactical. It doesn't feel atmospheric. It doesn't feel action. It just feels there. It feels like a low budget Android game. It's like you could easily put that on the Android and have touch controls and have slow it down a little bit, and that would probably be some bullshit little $6 game. And that's the way I see it. Just one of those Android games that it's like people play to kill time. They're not that high tech. But like I said, Resident Evil Survivor, I really like. I kind of like the story. I like the atmosphere. It felt like a Resident Evil game. A lot of people don't really give it consideration for that. I mean, yeah, the voice acting was pretty bad and stuff like that. And, it was a little cringeworthy at times, but it was pretty good. It had good areas, and you went through and you discovered it was an hour and a half game or so. You couldn't save in that game. You had to go through it in one shot without dying. which was pretty tense. I'm surprised I did it because they don't seem like the type of gamer I am. If it was me today, I probably wouldn't have the patience to think. I have to be good at it, get good at it enough to go through it, know all the big enemies. You know, you get what I'm saying. I just don't really have that mentality. I'm not a speed run kind of guy. I'm not a guy that likes to challenge myself long periods of time. I don't like to waste time that much. I don't. If I fail at something that would last like an hour and a half to 2 hours, or I think it was 3 hours average. I don't know. But yeah, I just no, it wouldn't be for me today. But I really enjoyed it. I had the mindset back then. Like I said, I was so fascinated with Resident Evil that I put it. I just kept playing. I don't know if I ever bought it, but I rented it a lot. So I beat it several times. So I don't really know. I guess I rented it and beat it in that time. I'm surprised. Uh, it was actually I think it was the first Resident Evil I ever beat. I'm not sure though. Whatever. As for the rest of the Resident Evils, never played Outbreak 2, and yeah, Resident Evil 6. Leon's campaign's good. It's a pretty decent game. I would say 5 is worse than 6. 5 was just an average co-op game. I can't even imagine playing that single player. But it's decent, I guess, for an action game. It just wasn't that great. And 6 was at least epic, and Leon's campaign alone is better than all of 5, in my opinion. And I'm not even sure if Leon's my favorite campaign. I believe it is, but I don't know. I really enjoyed. I think it was Jake, and I also enjoyed. Which one was the one they fought Nemesis? That Nemesis guy. I think that was Jake. I'm not sure. Let me think. There's Chris Redfield. I don't remember who fought who. It might have been. It's either Jake or Chris. They're all pretty good. No, I think Chris is the worst because it felt like 5. It was pretty much a military shooter. Yeah, I think I remember thinking that. Which is odd because Chris was my favorite character after playing Resident Evil 1 and Code Veronica. He was like my favorite character. And then 5 happened and 6. And no. I think it's back to Leon now. Yeah. I don't really care for the females except for Rebecca Chambers. I don't care for Jill, even though she was hot as hell in the first remake. But anyway, I'm going to cut this video off. Thanks, guys, for watching. What is your favorite? Let's talk about it.